That sentence was fantastic. And Premalji has made my work much easier, because I was actually going to deal on that, but still I will refer. But sir, you have actually made it very easy, because challenges and opportunities are a way of life. And our topic, reality and projection, the complexities of life and profession, has a large connotation. For instance, you are all tax consultants, okay? So it could be the projection and reality could be, balance sheet and profit and loss account, or for others it could be visualization or cinema. So in effect, uh, what is reality? It is the truth. And what is projection? It is what is seen, what is projected, what is shown. In fact, I believe no one knows us. See, you will know me exactly what I project, not beyond that. And that is true for every individual, even among spouses. Whatever we project, that's exactly what is perceived. Okay. And being in this field in the management field for more than 50 years as a management consultant, as a mentor and a psychologist and a corporate trainer, I therefore have a little different thinking, which matched with Premal Bhai when he mentioned that, because I believe in the concept that a person who is not contented within him will not be able to give the service with passion to the corporate world. And today we know passion has become a big thing in the management concept. So I would like to go backwards, because we are all professionals. So obviously our target should be professional. So we have to see how reality and projection, this top theme, is connected to my profession. But life has two parts. One is social. Under social comes personal and social. The other is professional. And very rightly, Premal Bhai said, how do we balance those? And reality projection comes in this. There are other similar topics when you say work-life balance. So I will go backwards from profession to social, social to family, family to self. And then step by step, I will come from self to profession as to how do I deal with it. Okay, Gilson, we have the next slide, please. Okay, I believe this is an universal truth, reality and projection. Okay, in every sphere of life. This is what I told you is self, family, and relation and profession. Now I'm going backwards. Okay, and if I start out with self, I believe if I'm not beautiful in my own eyes, how can I be beautiful in the eyes of others? And who am I or anybody else to sit on a judgment of a fellow human being? Now, this beauty is not physical. It is my intelligence. It is my compassion. And today, in every corporate office also, compassion has become a very, very big thing. Most of you I find are very, very young. So I would like to go back to certain things. I often say, why does a person start business? Paisa kamane ke liye. To paisa kaisa banega? When we will have profit. But profit kaise hoga? That when we have our, the target is met. Okay. But it depends on production. Production happens from machine. Machine has to be manned, has to be maintained. So we have shutdown. But who does it? Who mans the machine? Man. But man also has to be manned. So how do you man a man? We cannot put grease and oil in his ears, but we have to man him with his emotions. Therefore, I remember when I was young, there was something called time office where people would punch the card and enter. This time office then grew into being called as personnel department. The personnel department grew again because of the need and the realization of people that human beings are more important, manpower is important. So we came to industrial relations, and thereafter we came to HRD. Today HRD has gone further to call L&D. Now, what is it that has happened? When today, most of us, we are very aware because we are very savvy with it when we read the concepts. But when in 1970s, when I was talking about personality development, the awareness wasn't there. So people used to find it very shocking that self-discovery kaisa. Why should I love myself? फिर तो हम स्वार्थी बन जाते हैं, selfish बन जाते हैं. And I always believe no. If I cannot love myself, I will not be able to love anybody else. But this I, me, the individual, is very, very important, and that's the truth. But it becomes untruth when after I there's a full stop. So I के बाद dot 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 होकर के we होना चाहिए. मैं से हम बनना बहुत जरूरी है. That is humanity. Today I remember in early days when I used to address management things, I used to be told emotion has no place in management. I'm talking when I was 30 years old. And today we say a person who doesn't have emotions cannot be managed. Oh, you are all from finance background, account background. I like to share something. Don't feel offended. There was a time when we were young, all people, in fact, not only the finance people, the engineers would be in their own way, they would behave, doctors would behave in their own way, and the charter accountants would, nobody would have a smile because we were, the reality was we are chartered accountants or we are doctors, so I have to portray that image. Today, when I came in online, I found all of you were smiling and joking. That's the transition that has come. Reality is, that's my profession, but I'm also a human being. So we are also socials. That started coming in. This is the change that has come because we have started project. What happens with that? The warmth comes across. And when warmth comes across, my relationship is effective. When my relationship is effective, what happens? Professionally, I'm more effective. It has to be, I believe, a personality has to be accepted by the people around us. So I'm dealing with other people. So I have to understand and respect other people. A very simple thing I had learned almost 45 years ago from a 9th standard boy. You know, I happened to ask him, whom do you respect? You know what was his answer? Because all of us will see we respect our elders, our parents, our teacher, and all, or maximum I respect me. He said, sir, I respect those who respect me. I gave him a hug, it's a fact. Because if I'm not respected, I cannot. So respect is what, and now even among couples, among husband and wife, among spouses, I said, do you love each other? Most of them say, oh, to tha jab we were engaged, shadi ke baad or nothing exciting happens. But aaj bhi love hai, only the connotation of love has changed. At that time, it was kuch kuchi, kuch kuch hota hai. Ab kuch bhi nahi hota hai, but there's mutual understanding and mutual respect. That is what has come. So let me start out with the concept of self. Okay. Now, self, when I talk about an individual have two parts. One will be the exterior, one will be the interior. Exterior is the body, which is concrete, and interior is going to be the mind, which has deeper, which is abstract. That is mind, intellect, and spirituality. Now, spirituality is not religion, it's compassion. And these three are abstract, can't be seen, and they pass through the body, just like the prism. You'll have the white light, which is unseen, and we see the 7 colors, the rainbow colors. So abstract always becomes more powerful. Okay, so this abstract and the concrete will have to be taken further. I have taken from my own PhD doctorate research these 3 S's, which I believe is the base. You'll gradually notice that I will connect it to our own profession. That the 3 S's are self-confidence. In Hindi, हम इसको बोलते हैं आत्मविश्वास, आत्मनिरीक्षण क्षमता, और आत्मनिर्भरता. So self-confidence, sustenance of rationality, and self-reliance. All of us have heard right from childhood that we need to have self-confidence, but nobody tells us how to have it. So there are 3 ways of having it. Number 1 is comes from the body. And people say, why? 50% of self-confidence comes from the body. I must appreciate my body. Do I know my body? And you know how it is gets proved? I will prove it because body reacts to clothes. When we are in suit, we will sit in a particular manner, we'll walk in a particular manner. Let me wear a pajama or a lungi, you will find I will stretch my legs. So attire. So we take a lot of care when we go for a formal function or for an interview, and for the wedding again, different types. So body reacts to clothes. So body must be appreciated. Body means health and hygiene and system, plus my physical appearance. The way I am, I need to feel proud. And with body comes a self of pride in me. Premalji so beautifully asked me that I am from Kolkata. And of course, he didn't ask me whether I know Bengali, but I told him that I do. I feel we need to have the sense of pride in my body, in my culture, in my family, in my traditions, in my language, in my religion. It does not make me fanatic. But if I'm not proud within me, how will I? Therefore, next step will be I will have a sense of pride for my family. And therefore, when I take up parenting lectures, I keep on telling parents, young children को अपने बचपन की कहानी सुनाइए, अपने दादा दादी, नाना नानी, चाचा चाची, ताऊ इनकी कहानी सुनाइए, so that the children will align and feel the pride. It is not lineage has to be great. I mean, even if I'm financially poor, even if I'm illiterate, it doesn't matter. Children needs to be proud of their family. I'll connect it. Why? Because when I'm proud, have a sense of pride within me. I have a sense of pride for my family. Naturally, when I go to my school, today nobody refers to this word, the alma mater. We need to feel very proud of the institution where we grew up. If I'm from Xavier, I'm a Xavierite. If I'm from IIT, I'm an IITian. That pride has to come. So because that when I come and become a professional, whether it is my own company or I'm joining another company or my profession, I need to feel a sense of pride for my own profession. But today, most of the places, I feel that's missing. I feel people jump from one job to the other. I'm not against that, but the experience needs to come. The sense of pride needs to come. And this pride finally leads to national pride. Our Prime Minister has been talking about right from the beginning, right from 2014, a sense of pride, but the sense of pride begins from here. And I'm extremely proud to be an Indian, although my number of educational things, everything happened abroad. But I believe that, in fact, when I created history and when the award was to be given to me, but I asked them to give it to me in Mumbai. Although I'm a Bengali, but I'm brought up in Mumbai. I'm a Mumbaiker, and I felt I researched in my country, so I would like the credit to happen here. It's not that some great action. This is what was imbibed into me right from childhood. Because what happens is when I feel very proud about my profession, I deliver well. And when I deliver well, what happens is I'm very, very successful. And that comes from the first S. So body. Next, in the first S only, under self-confidence, comes each one of us need to know our strength and our weaknesses. Do we know our strength? It so happens, most of us, we go by the definition what others tell me. I always believe nobody can tell me my strength, only I can. Why? I'll offer reasons for everything. Because there is always a perception in every human relations. So as they perceive me, accordingly they will tell me that is my quality. But only I know what is my quality. And that quality could be very, very insignificant in the eyes of others, but that gives me joy. So it's very important to identify my strengths and identify my weaknesses. Though both, when I say I have to be aware of myself, I have to be both. And then what I have to do, I have to grow on my strength, and while rectifying my minuses. Let me share you two examples of my own. I always share examples of my own because I'm the guinea pig. I grew that way. That's my experience. You heard that I'm a dancer. Yes, I started dancing from the age of 2.5. Now, in the year 50s, it was not appreciated. Today also dance is no big deal. And a boy dancing was horrible. I was studying in Wilson College in Chapati and then in Wadia College in Pune. I used to be criticized because I was a dancer. But I somehow, because I love dance so much, that's why my institution name is Nitanjali. I never even changed. Even when we became the Nitanjali Management Services, Nitanjali Management Institute of Management Studies, I maintained that because I feel dance gives complete education. I know what happened, because I pursued research on it, I developed a concept of correcting eyes, power of the eyes. I developed an exercise which, if done regularly, your eyesight is restored and the degrees come down. And this has been made into film, and CNBC regularly shows it. And I don't have specs. I had specs from the age of 20 to 40, from the age of 40 to 73 now, plus I don't have specs because I do the exercise regularly. Now, had I stopped dancing, I wouldn't be able to. So that was my quality, which was shunned by everybody. But this made me popular. It gave me recognition. So dance has been good. So every one of us have some passion, some quality. Under pressure, we give up. But we need to pursue. Just as I said, just because I'm a chartered accountant, just because I'm an engineer or a doctor, I don't have to look serious all the time. Exactly like this. So whatever passion I have, I need to pursue. What it leads to? It leads to joy, happiness. The other part, the negativeness, the minuses, we discover. Like I used to be a very weak child, sick child, and throughout I was unwell. So that irritation was built in me. But by that time, I was 33 years old, things had come down. But one day, and I used to lose my temper very fast. So one day I broke a glass and I saw the face of my wife and my daughter, and there's fear in it. Do you know? I started feeling so ashamed of myself. Nobody told me anything. I said, these are the two people who are the closest to me. I love them the most, but they're frightened of me. So I'm a disgusting human being. And I lecture on how to be a good human being. So I have no right. Believe me, from that day, I started changing. It did not happen overnight. But the most beautiful thing happened is after about 10 years, my wife complimented me for this. It's seldom, right? A wife complimenting the husband or the husband complimenting the wife. Now, again, what is this that happened to me? It identifying the strength and the weakness. And the third is no comparison of self to others. Unfortunately, that's the way we have always been. We have always been compared with others, and we start comparing ourselves with other people. So I should never. It should be, I should compare myself with me, what I was, what I am, what I'm going to be. Right? This is self-confidence. Now I come down to the second is sustenance of rationality. Like, if in a question, human beings are dash animals, fill in the dash. Because it is not a class session, therefore I can't ask you. Most people will tell me it is social. Correct, but yet it is wrong. Because in third standard, we are taught human beings are rational animals first. Only human beings can think, no other animals can think. Then we are also social, then we are also emotional. Other animals are also social, they are also emotional. But we have the power to think. Unfortunately, all of us have stopped thinking because our system that no questions be asked. You cannot ask question to elders. We have a right to ask question to elders. Yes, how I ask is a very different matter. And for that matter, I also feel we elders must also offer explanations. We do not become small. But unfortunately, we don't. We always say, this is what you have to do, that's it. But if we give an explanation, except emergencies. In emergencies, of course, we cannot. But otherwise, it should be, because communication has to be both ways. But it is not done. So we need to ask questions. So how do we do that? To have sustained rationality, first thing is required is calming of the mind. अपने मन को शांत करना, because हम शरीर को जान सकते हैं लेकिन मन को जान नहीं सकते, मन को शांत कर सकते हैं. So therefore we need to calm our mind. And how do we do it? Now all of us know yoga, meditation, etc., etc. But I believe in the fast life that we have, how many of us can actually do yoga or meditation? But what we can do is being alone with self. Try and make a time, any time of the day, 10-15 minutes, अकेला चुपचाप एक कुर्सी में बैठे रहिए, एक बालकनी में बैठे रहिए, अपने बेड में बैठे रहिए, ऑफिस के कुर्सी में बैठे रहिए, कुछ मत करिए. In the initial stages, number of thoughts will come. But अगर हर रोज आप ऐसे बैठते रहोगे, देखना thoughts आना बंद हो जाता है, तो मन शांत होने लग जाता है. Which is a very, very effective tool for people like us who have a very, very fast life. Because जिनको meditation करना भी दिक्कत हो जाती है. So we should try and calm our mind, मन को शांत करें हम. This is the first of then there is another method is going backwards in our thoughts. कि क्यों ऐसा हुआ, क्यों ऐसा हुआ, क्यों ऐसा हुआ? So we will diagnose and find out what is the issue and solve it. Then there is another thing that we call is, acknowledging the contribution of inanimate objects in our life. I believe because that's the reason for this is, again, man shant karne ke liye is comfort zone. You will notice the side of the bed you sleep, You do not want to change it with anybody, not even if your own child. Because वहां पर मुझे कंफर्ट मिलती है. लोग बोलते हैं हम लोग जब बाहर जाते हैं ना नींद नहीं आती है. Because again comfort zone. So we need to acknowledge, and there's nothing wrong. We are not becoming materialistic. Materialistic. अगर मैंने घर खरीदा, कार खरीदा, उसको मैं प्यार तो करूंगा, उसमें मेरे पैसे से खरीदा, उसमें शर्माने की क्या बात है? We don't have to. That sense of belonging is necessary. I'm a very, very practical person about this, because without materialistic thing, generally human being cannot live. But we need to think backwards. And the third is a very important. I would request all of you know this, because the profession of chartered accountants or tax consultants, or most of the professions, whether it is doctors or engineers or management people, we are all high stress level people. You had tremendous stress year ending, and now even that is pursuing, right? So it's very important to address that, because when we are highly stressed, we cannot go to anybody and start telling our stress. So there is a method called emotional freedom therapy. In brief, it is called EFT. It's very pertinent to practice EFT. I, as a psychologist and a mentor, I mean, I have even now online every day, I have 6 to 7 counselings. Now, that means what happens in counseling, I hear all the sorrow and the pain of other people. I'm a human being, right? It affects me, but I can't share it with my wife or with my staff in the office or with my daughter. No. Why? Because that's secret, that's confidential. But then what's going to happen to me? I'm going to get damaged. So I practice EFT. Of course, now I don't have to, because the mechanics have started working on me. But the number of years I practice. Now, what is EFT? Anything when you're having a lot of stress, take a sheet of paper. It's different from diary writing. Take a sheet of paper, write down your feelings, bad, good, anger, sorrow, fear, joy. गाली भी आती है, वो भी लिख डालिए. सब कुछ लिख के तुरंत उसको पढ़िए. You will notice 30 to 40% जो है सच नहीं है. उसमें there's a lot of addition I have made. Keep the paper and read it after 1 more hour. आप देखना और भी घटेगा. Then उस पेपर को फाड़ के फेंक दीजिएगा. रखिए ना, not to store it. So it is called psychological puking. When we overeat, देखना उंगली डलवा करके उल्टी करवाया जाता है. This is also psychological puking. हम कैसे हमारे दुख दूसरों को बोलने जाएंगे, बार बार बोलने जाएंगे, तो I will lose my own respect. People don't like it, and बोलना जरूरत भी नहीं है. And this makes us very, very strong, and it brings in peace. Believe me, I have practiced this today all over the world. Number of people practice. Number of you must be knowing also about it, because it is all over on the net. This is what I had researched 50 years ago, and try to practice EFT. Now the last one I come to, सेल्फ रिलायंस. आज तो पूरा यूनिवर्सल हो गया ये शब्द, क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री जी आत्मनिर्भर होने के लिए बोल रहे हैं. आत्मनिर्भर इन आवर प्रोडक्शन, इन एवरीथिंग. बट मैं तो बोलता हूँ पहले वी हैव टू बिकम आत्मनिर्भर इन आवर ओन थॉट्स, इन आवर ओन फीलिंग्स. आई विल हियर एवरीबडी, बट आई विल हैव my own judiciousness. I won't be judgmental, but I'll be judicious. So I have to become emotionally independent, mentally independent, intellectually independent. मेरे में judiciousness आना जरूरी है. Now we are all human beings, so we will naturally be judgmental. कैसे judgmental होता है? किसी को देख के वो ना ऐसे ही होगा. अब देखना generally all of us speak. But judicious कब होता है? जब हम वो ना ऐसे ही होगा, वो सेंटेंस को मैं सब्सटेंशिएट कर सकता हूँ, मैं रीजन दे पाता हूँ, तब मैं judicious बनता हूँ. And that answering not necessary to the world, but अपने आप को तो हमको judicious देना. मुझे देख के वो लगता है वो आदमी ना ऐसा दिखता है तो ऐसे ही होएगा. गलत है. We cannot brand people. So ये आत्मनिर्भर अपने इसमें से होना चाहिए. And although I'm in a very formal occasion, but I want to tell you the incident because it was hilarious, but it was a huge learning for me. I say this even abroad whenever I do this. It was something that when I was researching, I began research unknowingly from the age of 15, but by the age of 22, I knew that it was a research. So when I was 25, I was traveling across India, different parts in the tribal areas, rural areas to study people. महाराष्ट्र के आखिरी स्टेशन है ढानू। ढानू के अंदर आशागर करके एक ट्राइबल एरिया ना। उन जमाने में जब मैं 25 साल का था, आप सोच सकते हो कि 50 साल पहले की बात है, तो वो एकदम जंगल टाइप का था। कोई टॉयलेट्स नहीं होते थे, लोग जंगल में जाते थे टू फॉर देयर नेचर्स कॉल। अब मैं वहां पर जाके लोगों का स्टडी, आई एम गोइंग टू यूज दिस टोटली इन हिंदी, दिस पार्ट। ऐसा था कि देयर यूज्ड टू बी अ ओल्ड लेडी, 8-year-old लेडी, जिनको मराठी में अजी बोलते हैं, एंड शी हैड हर फैमिली। अब ये ओल्ड लेडी जो है वो ना बड़बड़ करती थी। व्हेन पीपल आर वेरी ओल्ड दे से द सेम थिंग ओवर एंड ओवर अगेन। आई एम गोइंग टू यूज अ स्लाइटली अनपार्लियामेंट्री लैंग्वेज, काइंडली पार्डन मी, बट इट इज वेरी रेलेवेंट फॉर दिस। अब आई वेंट टू हियर हर व्हाट ही सेज। पता है वो क्या बड़बड़ करती थी? वो कहती थी, आई एम स्पीकिंग इन हिंदी, मैं तो किसी पर निर्भर नहीं करती, मैं तो स्वावलंबी हूँ, मैं तो किसी पर निर्भर नहीं करती, मैं अपना खाना खुद खाती हूँ, अपना हगना खुद हाँकती हूँ। ये खाली बोलती रहती थी। अब आई वॉज 25, आई वॉज एमए, आई वॉज डूइंग पीएचडी। तो मैंने अपने आप को बहुत माहिर समझता था, अहम था मेरे में बहुत, कि मैं बहुत शिक्षित हूँ, आई एम वेरी एजुकेटेड। Here I learned the difference between being educated and being literate. All of us are literate, but how many of us are educated is a different issue. And I know plenty of people who are not literate can be educated. So what happened, I'd like to share the incident. So one day, early morning, I see this lady with a lota pani bhar ke jungle ja rahi thi to answer a nature's call. And her 16 साल का grandson comes and मस्ती करता है, बोलता है अजी अजी तू तो हर रोज बोलती है तू किसी पर निर्भर नहीं करती, अपना खाना खुद खाती है, अपना खाना खुद हाँकती है, मैं तेरे लिए खाना तो नहीं खा सकता, मैं तेरे लिए हाँक कर आता हूँ। एंड दिस लेडी स्टार्टेड स्क्रीमिंग, छोड़ मुझे, छोड़ मुझे। बिलीव मी, आई लाफ्ड। I said, ये क्या मस्ती चल रहा है? But instantly two things came in her mind. I said, here is the lady who is learned. She's 80 years old, she's got wisdom. She was inspiring and self-motivating herself. Look, I'm 80, I'm not bedridden. Nobody has to feed me and clear my toilet. I'm self-sufficient too. And I discovered the word self-sufficiency, Atmanirbhar. How strong it is, very important to be self-sufficient. But then being self-sufficient in feeling and all comes first. As I said, body comes first. So physically we have to be agile. And that proves. So we have all seen Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. Okay. Before his death, he was senile. He could not think. He could not speak. But if you remember, if you've seen the photographs and the videos, that before that, even when he was a prime minister, he started walking very slowly because body first gives in, then the mental thing gives in. So we need to have self-reliance. Now I'm coming to family and relations, okay? And I call it the CAP. The CAP is communication, academics, and presentation. Girisa will, yeah, thank you. So here from self, I'm growing because family and relationships. So I need to communicate with my people. So what will I communicate? When I am balanced, when I'm judicious, whatever I will communicate, it will be effective. But in communication, there is something called transaction analysis. That is, the sender must understand the capacity of the receiver to receive and interact accordingly. Sender is one who is speaking the message I want to give. So I have to understand, whom am I telling? Do they understand not the language alone, the seriousness or the importance or the significance of the work that I'm giving? Work I'm talking about, even if somebody is hungry, how am I going to relate that? That communication also has to be with body language. No longer nowadays only speaking helps. Today body will have to be, body has to ooze out. You know, very, I had met one gentleman who always is very rigid and always talks loudly. He said, I have a very open approach to life. My cabin door is always open. Anybody can walk in and share anything with me. Tell me who will go when you speak like that, when your body is so rigid. Even if you're sitting on the field with a table, nobody will come to you. Because the tone had to be, I have a very open approach. Anybody, please to come whenever you feel like. That is going to be communication. Now, academics, all of us are highly qualified because degree is a must. So we have to create that atmosphere to have an interest in academics. Choose, of course, nowadays with children, they have career guidance options and all that. Forget about my time, number of you also did not have. And then comes the presentation. How do I, which starts from here is projection. How do I project myself? Okay, this is my thought. This is my relationship. Am I going to be accepted? So I talk what is going to be accepted, which is relevant, not simply because I had to talk, or a caustic remark or taunting, they don't help. I need to have a smile on my face. I always refer to science of mirror. You know what's the science of mirror? That each one of us see, everybody knows us. Everybody knows our expressions. But do I know my expressions? Do I know how I look when I'm angry? Do I know how I look when I'm frightened or when I'm sad? But everybody knows. Look, when we are applying for a leave and we are wanting to give the leave application to my boss, what is it that we do? We first see his face or her face. Very serious, अब देने का नहीं है, बाद में देंगे, because अभी mood बराबर नहीं है. And then when he or she is happy, we give. But even children do the same thing with mother and father. उनके चेहरा देख के बात करते हैं कि they are feeling comfortable. अभी पापा को बोलो, अभी मामा को बोलो. So this is again, it comes under presentation. Ki how do I? Because you know, when we talk about presentation, people normally think the clothes or the style. No, this understanding is also presentation. Am I able to study the other person? Okay, and this whole presentation atmosphere that needs to be understood. Now I come next to the professions. Now profession pay, I will use the 3 T's: target and focus, time management, and team dynamics. Now we have come down to where we all are, right? Today's concept, there's a lot of difference between what is the target and what is the focus. I remember a beautiful Sanskrit sloka. It goes like this: Vritha vrishti samudreshu, Vritha triptasa bhojanam, Vritha danam samarthasa, Vritha dipadiva picha. Vahanti vashanti nadanti bhati, dhyanti nittanti sanashvasanti, nadyodana madgajaha, ananta vihinaha, shikhinaha pravalraha. Let me explain the sloka. It is in Sanskrit. So it says Vritha vrishti. Vritha means useless, waste. तो समुद्र को बारिश की आवश्यकता नहीं है. The sea does not need rain. Those who are well fed, उनको भोजन देने की जरूरत नहीं है, दान करने की. जिनके पास बहुत अर्थ है, वेल्थ है, उनको वेल्थ दान करने की जरूरत है, पैसा देने की जरूरत नहीं है. And दिन में दिया जलाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. Now what does these 4 lines mean? They mean that हमारे को जिंदगी में कोई पर्पस होनी चाहिए, लेकिन the purpose needs to be purposeful, and that is target. It needs to be purposeful. But then how do we do it? The next sloka, which says Vahanti vashanti nadanti bhati dhyanti nitanta samashvasanti. That is, नदियां बहती हैं, हवा चलती है, प्रकृति में कितना स्फूर्ति है. I should do with that spurti. That is why I started out with the 3S. Do I know me? Am I able to give? मेरे में spontaneity है क्या? Who is accepted? You know, I believe there are 2 kinds of faces. One is a constipated face, the other is a loose motion face. जैसे कि थोबड़ा सूज आणि हसमुख. Okay, people will always come to the hasmukh person, no? One who has a grumpy face. People will not like to talk. So am I approachable? So तो मुझ में जो भी कुछ करना है, दिल से करना है, संपूर्ण रूप से दे करके संपूर्ण रूप से पाए हम. That is target. That is what I'm supposed to with that. But कैसे करेंगे? नद्योदन मद गजा अनंत विहिना शिखिना प्रबलः. Gaja is elephant, Shikhin is the peacock. Both, if you see when the peacock walks or the elephant walks, there's so much of dignity and pride. You know, in psychology, we are like all other people, we are like some other people, we are like no other people. And the fact that we are like no other people, it calls for my own dignity and my own pride. I shall not compromise that, ever. Even in my projection. We will, in projection, in reality and projection, truth को थोड़ा सा ऑल्टर करना पड़ता है, पैकेजिंग करनी पड़ती है. जैसे कि आपने बंदे जी ने बताया कि डॉक्टर गुहा इज अ फुल पैकेज, तो ये पैकेजिंग इज वेरी नेसेसरी. but उस पैकेजिंग में लेकिन अपनी डिग्निटी नहीं जानी चाहिए. So under no circumstances I will give up my principles and my dignity and my values. So what do? A purpose needs to be purposeful, but it should be spontaneous, but not compromising my dignity. And the word focus, when I was young, I still remember we were taught target and focus is same thing, but today it is different. Target is what is to be achieved. Focus is how am I going to achieve. That's the concept. A number of you I have seen, most of you are so young, so you obviously know the difference between the two. And that is where begins the profession. Now comes time management. Managing time. What is this particular word? I believe it is a simple common sense strategy because it is a mental discipline. We need to take stock of our work. And when I say our work, not only the professional work, Hemant Bhai has mentioned work-life balance. So I have also to see what are the activities I'm supposed to be involved in my family. If I'm supposed to be making the bed, if I'm supposed to be taking the lessons of my child or taking care of my parents, that is also part of my work, plus my profession, plus my travel timing. So all these combined, that means again, I have to understand me. And when I say I need to understand me, I mean that my social and professional activities, I must know the entire thing, even including shopping, including watching a film. Every little thing will have to come. So there are two aspects to it. One is called listing. Listing is anything that we have to, I must note down. Because let us understand, nobody can remember everything. And I like to share, now of course, COVID has brought down everything slow, but till before COVID, till I think 2019 December, my life used to be very, very hectic. I used to travel 20 days a month. So naturally, when you travel like this and when you come back home, the घर के जो situation होता है वो काफी emotional होता है. So there will be no arguments, no these things, and there is there's a lot of concern. But you know what I used to do sometimes in the flight or in the car? I used to remember something I used to note down. One day, my co-faculty asked me, "Sir, why do you even write down that what you are supposed to be speaking at home?" I said, because I might forget. Because once I go there, the emotions will rise high and I will forget this basic important thing. For instance, I may forget to tell my wife or my secretary that to check my, savings ki kya maturity hai, kya maturity nahi hai, and all that. What will happen? Others will get lapsed. Who will be the loser? Me. So listing is very important. There's nothing wrong because none of us can remember. And so we must list. Next comes priority. Listing is random. Priority is sequencing. What is the top priority that I must do? So I must go into that first. I believe 24 hours is a long, long time. And the more we work, more time we have. Because it's simply because we have to get more discipline. Not mentally, plus our work, we have to plan our work because none of us want to be rejected by society or by my profession. We want to be accepted with honor. There are other areas in time management. For instance, we have to have a short segment prepared. We have to have the deadline within which I must do my work. And a most important thing is how I do it. I must enjoy my work. Now I come down to team dynamics. What is team dynamics? घर पे भी team होती है. But there's a difference between team building and team dynamics. Team building is the logistics and the infrastructure. In fact, team building में हमारा कोई हाथ ही नहीं होता है. Years ago, I was taking a session in London, and this company, I won't name the companies, I had uttered the sentence, we should be able to do the best within the given available resources. I was talking about the team members. She said, "Sir, I object." I said, "Yeah, tell me." She said, "In our company, there is no available resources. We hire and fire. We choose the people." I said, "Okay, ma'am, kindly sit down now, but you have to answer me. How do you recruit people?" She said, we advertise. I said, then people apply? She said, of course. I said, then what do? You narrow down. She said, yes. I said, then you call them for interview. She said, yes. I said, after the interview, again you narrow down and you select. Then wasn't it within the available resources? Because only those who applied, from among them you called for interview. Only those who came from the interview, from among them you selected. So, and each department got the persons whom the HR has given. So it's within the available resources. So that is team building. Team building is what? But team dynamics is how. How am I going to take? So our reality and projection is all about how. We all know the truth. But how do I project it? In team dynamics, I believe in 3 sentences that individual growth is necessary. Because individually, each one of us must be aware about myself, about my company, about my profession, about the way what is to be delivered. But individual growth is not the end. It is collective individual growth is a must. You know, we have all heard the story. There are 6 sons used to fight. Father bahut samjhaya unhe, but nobody understood. But father told them, get a stick. Each one brought a stick. He said, break it. Everybody could break it. Now again he told them, get me sticks. 6 sticks he tied. He said, अब break करो. कोई तोड़ नहीं पाया. अब मैं पीछे की ओर अगर जाऊं, अगर पहले भी हर स्टिक बहुत मजबूत होता था तो वो भी तो तोड़ नहीं पाते थे. तो इंडिविजुअली अगर हम लोग सब स्ट्रांग हैं एंड ऐसे अगर हम लोग कलेक्शन हो जाए तब से कनेक्टेड टू द पॉलिटिकल एरिया. We have 29 states. If each state is very strong, India is very, very strong. But if each state is very weak, India becomes weak. So similarly, in every company, if every profession, if every section is strong, then collectively we will become strong. And how to have that, we need to understand the mission and vision of our work. I'm not going to talk about mission and vision of the company. Those of us are employed, fine. But even others independently also, my mission should be clear, my vision should be clear. I need to understand the mission. Without that, I cannot be. But then there is one more sentence, which is very dear to me. I believe initiate the initiative of our fellow team members. Because I believe that every person has something to contribute. One may not be, very dynamic or aggressive. Everybody's nature is not the same because of, just referring. There are theories called hereditary theories and environmental theories. Because of such impact, a person may behave in a particular manner, but is equally intelligent, equally dynamic, but may not be able to express, may not be able to come forward. So it's our duty. Again, I say, it's not the team leader alone. Every member of the team is a leader. They have to take charge. अगर मेरे colleague में कोई initiative कम है, तो I can encourage. Of course, professions में envy आता है. There is always a competition. Somebody is trying to go up. But at the end of it, hard work pays. This is what I very personally believe, that once I am very genuine, I am working hard, somebody may race a little bit ahead, but ultimately, one who is solid will grow. I always quote my own institution. It was an institution which I found when I was 15 years old, not knowing even what it is. Okay. At that time, it was not an institution, it was a club, but it grew. Today, it is global. It's so big. 200 people working. And I am only amazed कि ऐसे कैसे हो गया मुझे पता नहीं. लोग मुझे पूछते हैं कैसे, मैं बोला default. Only one thing was there, my passion. I wanted to grow. I wanted to serve. I wanted to do this. Today, Nitanjali has performing arts. Nitanjali has got education, management services, social work. In fact, government of India का पूरे स्वच्छ भारत का responsibilities on us in Mumbai. पूरे COVID का आपसे मैं अगर share करूं, even in this, my people are going door to door delivering masks per house, 4 to 8 masks. Sanitizer, sabun, abhi bhi chal raha hai hamara. We finished 6,000 houses over all this. So I feel honored that my NGO, my institute grew into such a thing, and we have, because in team dynamics, what is important, to appreciate each other, to encourage each other. We all love to be appreciated. And usually we appreciate our juniors, but I believe we must also appreciate our seniors. They also want, very funny thing, every time I perform, when I come back, of course, my students and all my other fellow artists, everybody knows कि सर का ऐसा नेचर है. अब तो सबको पता ही चल गया. तो अगर मैं डांस करके आया, सबको कैसे बोला, सर इट वाज फैंटास्टिक. अगर सर इट वाज गुड, मैं बोला ऐसा नहीं बोलने का बाबा. फिर आई गेट डिमोटिवेटेड. थोड़ा सा जोश के साथ बोलो ना, बोलने में इतना कंजूसी क्यों करते हो? तो it needs to be seen. It's to be seen with appreciation, but not all the time, but the time. This takes me to the treatise again: trust, transfer, and transform. Just in the month of March, I was with RCF Limited. It was physical. Okay, I took this training of the treatise. It was mentoring, because nowadays, again, I would like to share, across the globe for the last 10 years, mentoring has become a major issue. So in team dynamics, under this mentoring comes in, all of us have to mentor our own people. What is mentoring? Essentially grooming with our work culture, grooming with the work purpose. Okay, and so therefore I have spoken to them. I said, first I have to trust myself. That is self-confidence. Once I know, then I have to trust my work, my company, or my profession. Then I need to transfer a share. I need to share it with others. By sharing, nobody becomes small. In 2012, you must have heard of Basant Kumar Bildaji. I was, and he and his wife, Sarla Auntie, they loved me a lot. So my last book that I have written, which is almost 500 pages, it is called People Management. It has got almost 100 models of mine. So when I was publishing, both of them wrote the foreword. And BK Birla told me, बेटा तुम्हारा intellectual property public कर रहे हो, तो हम लोग उनको बाबू बुलाते हैं. तो मैं बोला बाबू, मैंने ऐसे ही सिखाना कि विद्या देने से बढ़ती है. तो what will I do with it? I have research, it is there, let people take it. Because we don't lose. क्या हो जाता है? Team dynamics में, in management में, pettiness should come down. We cannot be petty with small things. We have to have a larger outlook. That is called transformation. I need to transform people. Transform what? The thought, the acceptance. I said that we Mumbaikars are very open. We Mumbaikars are easily, we accept a lot of changes. That needs to happen. I'll share something. We all have a mindset. Actually, you know that I'm a very old man. So, मैंने बचपन से क्या देखा हिंदी पिक्चर वगैरह में कि जब कुएं से पानी लाने जाते हैं लोग, लड़कियां जो है, महिलाएं घाघरा पहनते हैं, या तो महाराष्ट्र में काष्टा पहन के जाते हैं. ठीक है. अब ये आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 10 years look, I'm supposed to be very enlightened, people tell me, but even I had a mindset. तब मैंने कार से जा रहा था लाटूर. Okay, suddenly मैं देखा कुछ महिलाएं जा रही हैं, they are all having the मटका on top, पानी लेने जा रही हैं. मैंने वो देख के ना, मैंने बोला ड्राइवर को गाड़ी रोक दो. अब मेरे साथ जिन लोग थे तो बोले कि सर क्या हुआ. मैं बोला वो देखो, सबने देखा, लेकिन सबने बोला क्या हुआ. मैं बोले लोग पानी लेने जा रहे. हाँ सर पानी लेने जा रहा है, यहाँ पर पानी कुएं से लाना पड़ता है. मैं बोले वो बात नहीं है. You know what had happened? The ladies, 3-4 of them wearing जीन्स पहन के, सर पे मटका लेके, they were going. अब मेरे दिमाग में क्या है, कुएं से पानी खरीदो, खींचोगे तो या तो, मैंने तो आज तक बचपन से देखा कि काष्टा पहने हुआ है, या तो आई होप यू नो व्हाट इज काष्टा, दैट इज 9-yard साड़ी, या तो घाघरा. तो even an enlightened man like this, for some time I was obsessed with that mindset. Okay, now what has jeans or kashta or ghagrat got to do with pulling water from the well? तो हम भी blocked हो जाते हैं. And then I only laughed at myself. I said, how silly can I be? मेरा वो old thought चलता गया. अरे मैं very openly सबको बोलता रहता हूँ. Because look, to err is human. हम इंसान हैं, हमसे तो गलतियां, ये स्टूपिडिटी होता रहेगा, उसमें क्या है? एंड आई लाफ एट माई सेल्फ एंड आई टेल एवरीबडी। तो उससे अगर लोग मुझे बेवकूफ समझ रहे तो उसमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है? बट आई रियलाइज कि मेरे में लिमिटेशंस आ रहा था, सो आई ब्रोक माई लिमिटेशन एंड दैट आई टॉक अबाउट ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. Now I'm coming to the last slide, which is going to be the key requirements. Okay, so what are the key requirements for us for reality and projections? The truth is my capacity and my limitations: physical, mental, intellectual, and emotional, and spiritual. How much I can take, how much I cannot take, I must know that. And nobody else can tell me other than me, myself. I'm the only one, and I need to be very honest. You know, in psychology, we say maximum lies we tell to self. खुद को हम बहुत झूठ बोलते हैं, हम समझा देते हैं हाँ मैं कर पाऊंगा. तो to be very honest to self is a very, very difficult task. So we need to be very objective. So let's not use the word honest, but we need to be very, very objective कि मेरा capacity क्या है. And this I'm talking about right from my family to my profession. And मेरे limitations जो मुझे आता नहीं है, तो मुझे स्वीकार कर लेनी चाहिए. Look, as the chairman of this large group, I know there are a lot of things that I can't do. And I'm very, very open. Take, for instance, this IT, the net. I'm comparatively now pretty savvy, but yet there are areas which I can't do. And I'm very, very open to my IT people and to Mr. Girish Dalvi sir, who is our trustee as well as director of operations. You have seen he's a very young engineer and MBA. But I depend on him or Dr. Anuna Guha ma'am, who is our managing director, my daughter. I depend on them. I very frankly tell them, मुझे वो तुम करके दो भैया, मेरे से नहीं होता. Because when I try to go to do that, तो मैं कुछ गलत कर देता हूँ. And I don't even try. I find that is a wastage of time because I also have the advantage of having a huge team. That is a very important thing. Of course, as a chairman, I can demand. But therefore, it is important to know, even my personal staff, my peon, they know such son does not know this. So there's nothing wrong in it. Okay? So capacity janiye, limitation janiye, usko accept kariye. And that is the truth. Now, iska projection kaise hoga? Till I would have told you, you would have thought Dr. Guha is very savvy. Okay, that is the projection, because you are finding that I'm speaking eloquently with every little thing, because I know I have the knowledge of my subject. So it's very important that I know the job, but I also should know how far I can take it, where my limitation comes in, where I will require support or contribution of others. And there's nothing wrong in it. Because again, वही team dynamics में collectively we will grow. Individually मैं grow करूँ और मेरी company बंद हो जाए तो क्या फायदा होगा? Company नहीं रहा तो मैं भी नहीं रहा. Second comes observation skills. It's one of the most important thing for a leadership. You know, a leader has to have fantastic observation skill. What is happening on the right? What's happening on the left? What's happening in front? What's happening at the back? What's happening on the top? What's happening at the bottom? I must be able to pick up. How does one develop observation skill? Surprisingly, reading helps tremendously. Observation skills. Hearing helps tremendously in observation skill. Seeing obviously helps in observation skill. But what is more important, internalizing those whatever you have seen is very important, and then relating it at the right time with the right issue. Observation skills then becomes very effective. I'll tell you something you can practice. You know, just be quiet in a room and for 2 minutes try to hear whatever sound you hear and then write down. You will find that you are able to hear some very minor. 2, 3 of you sit, you will notice somebody has written 8, somebody has written 14, somebody has written 5. So that is yet in hearing skill, but it is observation. When you see the funny thing, internalize that. That is observation. Then similarly, with my own team, when I talk to them, you know, we call it interview method and direct observation method. But interview method is a terminology, but it is not an interview. When you chat, when you talk, even during lunchtime, break time, look the way somebody talks, the content somebody talks. And what is direct observation? The thought. While somebody is talking, when if there's any question, answer any, is somebody becoming, body language is becoming self-defensive, you're warm. So I'm able to know them. That's how I can create a bonding. I can identify, draw similarities with people. Then comes humor. I feel humor is a very important thing in the sense it gives a lot of joy. Humor should be within me, and we can all cultivate humor. छोटी छोटी बातें देखो उसके छोटी, फॉर इंस्टेंस एक कलकत्ता में तो बहुत होता था, मैं देखता था बचपन में, आप प्रेमल जी आप देखोगे इस बात को, तो वहां पर लिखता था, देखो मैं बंगाली में बोल रहा हूँ, खाटी गरुड़ दूध, हियर ऑल्सो दे राइट प्योर काउज मिल्क। मुझे बहुत आश्चर्य लगता था, मैं बोला द काउ इज प्योर, कौन उसको सवाल पूछ रहा है, दूध प्योर है क्या? नहीं, प्योर काउ तो प्योर दूध दिया, लेकिन आपने पानी कितना मिलाया, तो होना क्या चाहिए था, काउ का प्योर मिल्क, काउज प्योर मिल्क, नॉट प्योर काउ का मिल्क। तो ये भी मुझे ऐसी ये छोटी छोटी बातें जो होती हैं उसको देखना, ये ऑब्जर्वेशन से ह्यूमर आने लग जाता है। पर ह्यूमर आने से किसी को बोल देना नहीं चाहिए, दैट इज बिकॉज इट कुड हर्ट समबडी एल्स। देन कम्स डिप्लोमेसी। डिप्लोमेसी, द अदर वर्ड इज प्रोजेक्शन। Today, Mr. Jaishankar, our External Affairs Minister, is constantly having diplomatic meeting with his Chinese counterpart, Pakistan counterpart, US counterpart, London counterpart. What is he trying to do? What is diplomacy? It's packaging. We package our thoughts, our feelings, our visions, okay, in a manner that is palatable to the other person. Diplomacy is not a bunch of lies. We are not cheating people, but we have to be a diplomat. देखो, जब हम हमारे बॉस के सामने हमारे लीव एप्लीकेशन देने जा रहे थे, चेहरा गंभीर दिखा तो नहीं दिया, एंड जब खुश था तभी दे दिया, दैट इज ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ डिप्लोमेसी, राइट? सो वी नीड टू हैव द डिप्लोमेटिक एटीट्यूड। सो रियलिटी एंड प्रोजेक्शन पे ट्रुथ क्या है ये समझो। तो मैं तो समझता हूं, मैं, आई एम द ट्रुथ। आई एम गोइंग टू tell a passage in Hindi, that is a very serious passage, but it's a very philosophical passage, and that I call is the truth, Satya, प्रश्न उठता है, मानव क्या है, मानवता क्या है, आत्मा क्या है, आत्मता क्या है, रिश्ता क्या है, रिश्ते नाते क्या है। आज इन सब का अंत मुझ में है, मैं ही केवल मैं वो सत्य हूँ, मैं ही मानव और मानवता हूँ, आत्मा और आत्मता भी मैं, रिश्ता रिश्ते नाते भी मैं। इस धरती में बाकी सभी झूठ है, या कोई भी किसी का नहीं, यहाँ से स्वार्थ है, विश्वास नहीं होता, विश्वास भी नहीं है, ये सारी बुनियाद अविश्वास पर बनी है, यहाँ जीना जीना नहीं, चुप से साथ साथ चलना है। आज एक ऐसा अंधकार है जिसमें है एक अति सत्य, एक ऐसी शून्यता जहां हार नहीं, जीत नहीं, गम नहीं, खुशी नहीं, अब नैन में आंसू नहीं, हृदय में झंकार नहीं, कहीं कुछ भी तो नहीं। वैसे तो सब है, पर हो गया बेसुरा। ये शून्यता अकेलेपन से भी गंभीर है, ये वो सत्य है जिसमें कोई सत्य नहीं है। I had written this passage when I was 28 years old, and I look at it, this is the Satya. Satya is me, that we are alone in this world. And that is, and all that is with me, that's my Satya. But now मैं इस सत्य को प्रोजेक्शन कर देता हूं आपको। I'm going to tell the same passage with different voice modulations. आप देखोगे इतना सीरियस पैसेज will become so different, क्योंकि वही मेरा पैकेजिंग है। The way I am projecting my truth, only I know the way I project. So let me say the passage in the manner, okay, 3 different or 4 different emotions. प्रश्न उठता है, मानव क्या है, मानवता क्या है, आत्मा क्या है, आत्मता क्या है, रिश्ता क्या है, रिश्ते नाते क्या है। आज इन सब का अंत मुझ में है, मैं ही केवल मैं वो सत्य हूँ, मैं ही मानव और मानवता हूँ, आत्मा और आत्मता भी मैं, रिश्ता और रिश्ते नाते भी मैं। इस धरती में बाकी सभी झूठ है, या कोई भी किसी का नहीं, यहाँ सिर्फ स्वार्थ है। विश्वास नहीं होता, विश्वास भी नहीं है, ये सारी बुनियाद अविश्वास पर बनी है, यहाँ जीना जीना नहीं, चुप से साथ साथ चलना है। आज एक ऐसा अंधकार है जिसमें है एक अति सत्य, एक ऐसी शून्यता जहां हार नहीं, जीत नहीं, गम नहीं, खुशी नहीं, अब न आंसू नहीं, हृदय में झंकार नहीं, कहीं कुछ भी तो नहीं। वैसे तो सब है, पर हो गया बेसुरा। ये शून्यता कलेपन से भी गंभीर है, ये वो सत्य है जिसमें कोई सत्य नहीं है। सेकंड प्रश्न उठता है, मानव क्या है, मानवता क्या है, आत्मा क्या है, आत्मता क्या है, रिश्ता क्या है, रिश्ते नाते क्या है। आज इन सब का अंग मुझ में है, मैं ही केवल मैं वो सत्य हूँ, मैं ही मानव और मानवता हूँ, आत्मा और आत्मता भी मैं, रिश्ता और रिश्ते नाते भी मैं। इस धरती में बाकी सब ही झूठ है, या कोई भी किसी का नहीं, यहाँ सिर्फ स्वार्थ है। विश्वास नहीं होता, विश्वास भी नहीं है, ये सारी बुनियाद अविश्वास पर बनी है। यहाँ जीना जीना नहीं, चुप से साथ साथ चलना है। आज एक ऐसा अंधकार है जिसमें है एक अति सत्य, एक ऐसी शून्यता जहाँ हार नहीं, जीत नहीं, गम नहीं, खुशी नहीं, अपने आंसू नहीं, हृदय में झंका नहीं, कहीं कुछ भी तो नहीं, वैसे तो सब है पर हो गया बेसुरा। ये शून्यता कलेपन से भी गंभीर है, ये वो सत्य है जिसमें कोई सत्य नहीं है। थर्ड प्रश्न उठता है, मानव क्या है, मानवता क्या है, आत्मा क्या है, आत्मता क्या है, रिश्ता क्या है, रिश्ते नाते क्या है। इस धरती में बाकी सभी झूठ है, यहाँ कोई भी किसी का नहीं, यहाँ सिर्फ स्वार्थ है। विश्वास नहीं होता, विश्वास भी नहीं है, ये सारी बुनियाद अविश्वास पर बनी है। यहाँ जीना जीना नहीं, चुप से साथ साथ चल रहा है। आज एक ऐसा अंधकार है जिसमें है एक अति सत्य, एक ऐसी शून्यता जहाँ हार नहीं, जीत नहीं, गम नहीं, खुशी नहीं, आंसू नहीं, हृदय में झंका नहीं, कहीं कुछ भी तो नहीं, वैसे तो सब है पर हो गया बेसुरा। ये शून्यता कलेपन से भी गंभीर है, ये वो सत्य है जिसमें कोई सत्य नहीं है। I have said it in anger, in joy, in sorrow. I can also make it into seduction. You know, प्रश्न उठता है, मानव क्या है, मानवता क्या है, आत्मा क्या है, आत्मता क्या है, रिश्ता क्या है, रिश्ते नाते क्या है। आज इन सब का अंत मुझ में है। Anyway, I will not go further, but what I meant to say was the content is this. The packaging is the projection. And the meaning changes. The acceptance changes with the people. Okay? This is called diplomacy. This is called projection. Now the question comes is, do we accept projection? Do we compromise the truth? We don't. Because we only package it in a different manner. Now, this packaging happens in my home, within me, with my relations, and of course, in business. Grisha, can I have the slide, please? Then we have then, therefore, interact, observe, and circulate. To have all this, how do I project myself? So I have to have interaction. What is interaction? Interaction between too many people, one-to-one and one-to-many. So that comes as a feedback to me. Then I understand what is the requirement, what is the need, and therefore how do I package. That naturally comes with observation, and we need to circulate individually. Now here, the circulation has a very large connotation. You know, today, we are no longer limited, we are no longer narrowed. Each one of us, like when I was small, we were told that you have to be master of one, don't be jack of all trades. Today, it is different. We have to be master of one, but we have to be jack of all trades. Without that, we cannot sustain ourselves. So this circulation is that. I have to know what we call, in other words, is GMQ. You know, what is it? That's called General Market Quotient. That is, whatever is happening around the world, that is on the economic front, and the social front, and the cultural front, and the political front, in the health front, in every aspect I know, because accordingly things will have to be motivated. For instance, I'll tell you, when during last 1 year, almost every day, 2-3 lectures online, motivational lectures were happening by me. I was lecturing to, as I told you, the doctors and nurses, frontline and back office workers, health workers. I was lecturing to parents, teachers, principals, students. I was lecturing to corporate workers, you know, non-management staff, management staff. But topic was all motivation, but I had to address it very differently. Truth was what? Truth was COVID. But जब मैंने पैकेज किया, मैंने इन सर्टेन केसेस में पता मैंने ये भी बोला, मैं बोला अपने आयु रेखा देख लो ना, हाथ में बहुत लंबा है तो कोरोना आएगी और जाएगी, अब बच जाओगे. This is what a umeed, a hope that had to be given. In certain places, I spoke about the nation's requirement of essential services, how the country is looking up to them, how they have to be appreciated, how I am bowing down to them. So, हर जगह में projection was getting given. COVID was being projected as optimist, because in certain places I said we are getting time to spend time with our family, which we never had. We are all becoming more adjustable, accommodative. फाइटिंग हो रहा है बट एक दूसरे को डाइजेस्ट करना भी हमने सीखा. वी हैव ऑल लर्नड टू डू द हाउस होल्ड चोर्स. आज कोई बीवी ने ऐसे बोली कि आप ठीक भी हो जाए ना, मैं तो किसी को रखूं नहीं क्योंकि आपका हाथ का खाना मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. मैं बोला ऑल द सोशल चेंजेस केम इन. देन द यंगस्टर्स रियलाइज्ड द वैल्यू ऑफ मनी. द पेरेंट्स लॉस्ट देयर जॉब एंड हाउ they were making two ends meet. I'm talking about well-to-do families, जहां पर जिनके 1 लाख रुपया महीने का खर्चा होता था वो डाउन टू 25,000. I have met young girls and boys, they have told that how my parents. So what happened? COVID also gave understanding, respect, appreciation for the parents, parents for the children, and everybody for everybody. We became so concerned. Every building started seeing that food is provided. So that is the humanity came across. So there's a good side and then there's a bad side. I will end, ladies and gentlemen, with this, the last sentence that you can already see. I always say intelligence is important, but it needs to be backed by common sense. And common sense comes through interaction, observation, and circulation. If there is no common sense, if I'm not understanding the situation, I cannot project. So to me, to sum up, reality and projections are balancing factors of both sides of our life. As I said, a personality has two sides, body and the mind, that is abstract and the concrete. Similarly, life has two sides. One is the truth, and truth needs to be projected. But one important line, I believe, has to be that projection has to be optimistic. It has to be motivational. It has to bring in hope. It has to bring in brightness and joy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am so grateful to the Chamber of